Hello, everybody. We're back with another episode of Eye of the World, um, part of the Wheel of Time series, and we're doing another character. And this time, I think we'll talk about Perrin.
Yes, my favorite.
So we have Perrin. I like Perrin too, and so yeah, we're talking about Perrin, who is a blacksmith, and his storyline kind of goes that with fantasy stories. It's like Rand, a no-namer guy who ends up having to be a hero. And in this story, though, Perrin, he goes through
A giant transformation.
yeah,
doesn't he?
probably the most
Yeah,
biggest
it's just
transformation.
It's like he's like this fun-loving guy, and then like halfway through the book, he's like this really calm and collected, and he's basically like a baby lamb.
a baby Rand, right?
A baby lamb.
Oh, a baby Lan.
Yeah, it was Land's so freaking flat-faced, and then Perrin starts to become that way too. I'm just like, wow.
Okay, yeah. So this will have spoilers. So if you haven't read Eye of the World,
You're a little late to mention that.
well, we haven't spoiled anything yet.
Yeah, we did.
No, let's say he has a big transformation.
And then I just got done saying what happens.
What did, like what?
Huh?
You haven't explained anything. What happens?
Yellow eyeballs.
Right now, you just did. So yeah, so like he said, he does eventually get yellow eyeballs. Rand.
Okay, it's yellow irises.
Yeah.
Or the color of his eye.
Yeah. Like
Was his
wolves.
eyes brown before?
I don't know. I guess so. I don't know if they even I can't remember if he mentions what color his eyes were before or not. But
White.
White. Yeah. So
Blank eyes.
Yep. So you're like half off the screen. So yeah, Perrin.
I'm right
Yeah.
here.
Yep. So Perrin, he's a blacksmith. He gets caught up in this whirlwind with Rand and Moraine and Matt, because his village gets attacked by Trollocs. He's a very quiet, I guess, quiet guy.
He's very collected.
Yeah, collective, logical.
Collected, not collective.
Collected. Logical person. He likes to think through his problems before he speaks.
I think through problems, but I don't think before I speak.
Right. And then and then later on in the story, he gets separated from the main group with Egwene, who we'll talk about later, maybe a little bit longer later in this video. We don't plan on spending 15 minutes on Perrin, I don't think.
Pay.
But so later on he finds when him and Egwene get separated from the group.
What was that?
I don't know. He finds that he's able to hear wolves.
Thank you. Thanks to Elias.
Yes.
And you know what's really funny though is that while I was reading that, and then Elias points it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, and Perrin's like, no, I don't. And then it's just like, but he can't like help but admit, that he feels like a little connection with it. And I'm just like, okay, there was nothing leading up to this at all. I'm just like,
yeah, just
how? He had no thoughts of this. He didn't have any. Like Perrin didn't think like, why do I feel so connected with these wolves? It's just like he can, and it's just like immediately he gets that power. And I'm just like,
right. What? Yeah. So yeah, that was one problem with the story is that through his whole, there's no explanation that maybe in his childhood or before this event that he could hear wolves.
It's just like he can, and then all of a sudden he has that superpower. Just like.
Right. Yeah.
Superpower giver.
Yeah.
Elias has the power to give powers. Yes.
And Elias, as we mentioned him a couple times, he's a guy that Perrin and Egwene meets, and he's able to communicate with wolves. And he points out to Perrin that he has that ability, but we find no experience or no hint at all that this is possible with Perrin. Yeah. He doesn't mention it. Maybe because this is...
Hey, wait, was there anything like that in the Darkstalker book we reviewed? You didn't say anything about it.
I don't know. I don't remember. Talking about something else. But anyways... So he gets this ability, even though it's a little bit out of the blue.
Yeah, it should be... apparently he's had it his whole life, though, but, I mean...
Yeah, or maybe he hasn't. Maybe this came out.
Maybe just right when he sees the wolves, but then, like, he saw the wolves before, and wouldn't he would have, like... He would have felt them around him, too, because there were wolves around there, so he would have been just like, I feel like there's something there, right? Like, there's something
maybe
creeping
there's no wolves where he's from.
Yeah,
and
but
it's a bunch
in
of
the
villages.
forest with Egwene, it should like if it's in his point of view, shouldn't he have been able to feel like he's like I don't know what this is, but it feels like there's something there.
Yeah.
And but instead of just immediately throwing him under the bus
Right.
like that.
Throwing out there, yeah, that would have been a little better. But I like Perrin. He runs into some white cloaks who are people who are.
They claim that they're good guys.
Yeah, they claim they're good guys and they're out to kill people who follow or worship the Dark One.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's Perrin, but he's very collective. He thinks through his problems before he acts, and he doesn't really play a big part in the end. He gets.
Yeah, he kind of just gets tossed aside.
Yeah, he gets tossed aside. So he doesn't. In this book, we get introduced to him and to his power, and that's about it for this book, I believe.
But yeah, I do want to talk about some things that are connected with Perrin though, because like, there you have the wolves that are some pretty decent. Those are some pretty decent things that are added there.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite funny because a lot of people apparently think that they are like with the Dark One and all that, and it's just like when you get to it, the wolves like absolutely hate anything that has anything to do with the Dark One in the first place. It's just like Trollocs, they're gonna rip them apart if they show up. So like.
Right. Yeah. So in this story, that people relate the wolves as being evil,
and their main the one thing that really upsets me is that their main way that they actually connect those is that the Trollocs have like wolves muzzles, and I'm just like, that has nothing to do with anything.
Right. So some of the Trollocs have wolf heads, so that makes
the wolves bad.
It's kind of like that show Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where they relate the witch to a duck.
It's just like, yeah, except that's more like weight wise, and this is just like appearance wise, and it's just like, dude, you don't know what the wolves hate and what the wolves don't hate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, and it's really, and you can really tell that this guy's like really wanting you to hate the White Cloaks too, because he makes them do all kinds of these horrible things. It's just like they kill like this wolf, right, and his name is Hopper, and it becomes like one of Rand's pretty good
friend.
Yeah, pretty good friend with Rand. He kills him and then turns him into a rug, and I'm just like, dude, what the heck? Right.
Yeah, the White Cloaks in this is they're
horrible,
very bad. There's not a single instance in this book where the White Cloaks are a good guy.
Yeah, it's just like the White Cloaks are just like, oh, we worship the light, and then it's just like everyone else who sees them, dude, you're like you act like Dark Friends.
Yeah, they do.
You're just as bad as Dark Friends.
Yep, this is bad as them. That's true.
You're part of the problem.
So later on in the stories, though, Perrin does play important roles and becomes hero. And I'm not gonna go too much.
My happiest part was when two of them got decapitated.
The White Cloaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By
Perrin. Perrin is definitely a fierce warrior who knows how to fight with his axe.
And yeah, it really confused me a little bit when I read one of their thoughts. Like, he's like, he smiled at the thought of ripping someone's throat out with their teeth, and he's like, wait, that's not right.
Yeah, he's like, that's wrong.
That is wrong.
That's very wrong.
And I'm just like, yeah, that is.
All right, so we spent 8 minutes on Perrin. Let's move on to Matrim.
So much about Perrin.
Yes, let's move on to Matrim. This
AKA
book,
probably the dumbest character.
Yeah, Matrim to me in this book is equivalent to Pippin in the Lord of the Rings. He's the one that gets him into trouble all the time. He has a reputation of that as being as a boy. He's always trying to pull pranks and tricks on people, and he gets them in trouble. He's the one who goes off of that city
Shadar Lagoth.
Yeah, there you go. And he's the one that gets the knife, and which slowly starts to possess him.
Yeah, and then I was like, hey, Dad, what is this supposed to mean? He's like, oh, it's just a really bad thing. And I'm just like, what does it do? It's like, it corrupts you. And I'm just like, okay, is there any upside to it? It corrupts other people who gets cut by it. And I'm just like, well, that's neat.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, right. That's kind of cool. And then it's just like, you're dying over here. It's just like,
right.
I guess.
So yeah, so in this book, Matt, you just get to introduce Matt and his personality.
Yeah, it reminds me of Frodo.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, he has the ring, right?
Oh,
and then it's just like, he starts to get worse and worse. And then in this one, it's just like, except in this one, like, Matt can't get rid of the knife after for so long having it, because if he did for some reason it would kill him. It does.
Right.
That's another problem. It doesn't explain what actually happened there. It just says that the knife is starting to taint him, and that he's bound to it, but it doesn't explain how that happens.
Well, let's start to become one in spirit and stuff, and it explains a little, because
it doesn't explain how the knife can do that.
It explains more into the second book.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so Matt is, and like Perrin, we know he's important. Starts off in a little village, becomes important in this book, and we're just getting introduced to Matt and his personality. Doesn't really play any big parts because half the time he's sick, and the only parts he does play is to get the guys in trouble.
Hey guys, I'm gonna get. It's like God's like, hey, guess what, fam? I'm gonna give you guys this little kid right here, and all he's gonna do is cause you problems, and it's just like, this is your trial, and everyone else is just like, thank you.
So this is Matt, basically an eye of the world. He does become one of my favorite characters later on when
he's funny when he's not. When he doesn't think everyone's out to get him.
Right. Yeah, he's very funny, and he's somebody who never. He always wants to do. He wants to do what he wants to do. So if you try to tell him what to do, he won't do it. But if he makes a promise, he keeps to it. He'll do whatever he does. He does whatever he does to keep that promise.
I mean, like when. Okay, so here's the thing though: is that sometimes when someone says nothing can stop me from breaking a promise, well, I mean, death can stop you from breaking that. Can break that promise for you. So I mean, something can definitely break that promise.
Yeah.
You can't keep every promise.
Well, that's true. But
death is just like that butter knife. It's like separates the two halves of butter. It's like the butter promises itself is going to stay together, and it's just like, boom, no, you're not.
But short of death, he'll keep his promise. If he says he's going to do something, he'll do it.
If he's not being corrupted by the dagger.
Right. So that's the first book.
Which, by the way, is a pretty coolly described dagger. I really like the way it's described, except it's a little too gold for me.
Yeah. Well, it has a red ruby in it.
I mean, like the red ruby would be. I think the red ruby would be cool if it was like silver instead of gold. But like, cause I don't know, I just don't like gold that much. I mean, it's cool, but it's too yellow. Too yellow.
Okay, so this is Perrin and Matt that we talked about, and we'll do another video talking about
the rest.
The ladies, Egwene and Nynaeve and Marion. Moraine. Is it Moraine? Moraine. I keep
why do you keep calling her Marion?
And Lan, and maybe something else. So until then, have a good day and see you later.
Adios.